I think after years of JRPGs and light novels, we all pretty much figure out that heroes and adventurers have levels. As they defeat monsters, they become stronger, they can take more hits, they learn more powerful magic, they become smarter, faster, better. Well, what if a Minotaur could do all those same things? Well, that's what we're talking about in volume number 1 of Shien Bis' light novel series, King of the Labyrinth. This one is released officially in English by Yen On. It's got cover art by Shoko MEGURO and is translated in English by Luke Hutton. If you want to pick up your own copy of this one, I'll have links in the description down below. So really, I kind of gave you the setup of this book right at the very beginning. That's exactly what this book is about. It's about a Minotaur who is the boss on the 10th level of a dungeon, which operates under the typical dungeon rules. The boss has a room. The boss does not leave the room. One day, though, a bit of an anomalous boss is born on the 10th level that is kind of like not satisfied with its lot in life, and through various situations finds itself capable of leveling up and leaving its boss's room. This, of course, throws the entire local area into an uproar, leaving the Adventurers Guild kind of at a loss of what to do. So King of the Labyrinth, as I said, pretty much starts with a very basic idea. What if a monster could level up the same way that an adventurer does? How would adventurers act if they themselves were used to the status quo of the monsters only spawn on certain levels, the boss monster only spawns in a certain room, the boss monster never leaves that room, if the boss monster is too hard, just leave the room? What happens if that all gets thrown on its ass? Well, that's kind of the question that this book seeks to answer, and I'll tell you, it answers it in some fairly violent and brutal ways at times. I mean, he's a Minotaur. He ain't exactly known for his finesse. It's more like bam, splat, pow, chunk, stomp, kick. You know how it goes. Ripping people in half with horns on his head. Yeah, you know, I could go on, but what's the fun of that? You could read the book instead. That said, okay, so this book is a fun little read, and I do mean little, like literally, I don't even think it's 200 pages. It's pretty short, to be honest. I'll tell you right now, my print copy here is 183 pages long, and it has no interior artwork either, which honestly I don't think is that big a deal, because the cover alone. So I love the cover artwork on this, and the fact that it's a hardcover, I kind of feel like Yen On is trying to appeal more to a typical fantasy or even more likely a lit RPG audience with this title, because it certainly seems to be on that more of a level, I would say, than your typical light novel, aside from the fact that, as I said, it just uses all the JRPG tropes when it comes to dungeons and leveling up. With that said, being a fun read and, you know, quick-paced read, not only because of the length, but also because of the fact that so much of it is just battles, and I mean, pretty much you just meet new characters for them to go and get pulped by the Minotaur. That's not even a spoiler, because you'll probably figure that out within the first 15 pages. But this book does try to do a bit of lifting when it comes to world building. And I would say, in a sense, it's a little bit frustrating, because if you're reading it kind of as a one and done, which it's not, there are 2 more volumes to it. And based on the synopsis, at least of the second volume, it sounds like the second volume takes place before the ending of volume 1. Volume 1 actually covers several decades, and that's something that is obvious when you're reading it, but it doesn't feel like that time has passed until you're told something that makes it obvious. That sounds really confusing and stupid, but without telling you spoilers, I can't really make it any more sense. Let's just say that you meet characters as they go along, and obviously based on the fact that they're far older than they were when you met them 30 pages ago, lets you know that so many years have passed. I guess that's probably the easiest way to put it. In any case, you will find that a lot of the world building in this one is pretty standard fare for the most part. It focuses on the leader of the local adventurers guild and all the headaches that are caused for him because of this anomalous Minotaur. It starts to touch on how that affects people more at large, adventurers, even like merchants and stuff like that. It even begins to touch on how there's almost like a cultish like adoration of the Minotaur after so many years have gone by. But all of these things, I will say, are a bit frustratingly light on their detail. This book could have been fleshed out a lot more and still been really enjoyable, and I think still would have had a great pace. It's just that it feels like those were a lot of afterthoughts or things kind of pieced in to flesh out the real premise that the author had, which was I'm just going to have a Minotaur who kicks a lot of ass. I am really hoping that Volume 2 and probably Volume 3 will help sort of balance this out a little bit more, because as I said, there is a character who shows up towards the end of the book that supposedly Volume 2 is going to tell much more about that person. So as I said, I kind of feel like you have Volume 1 leading up to a certain point, then I think Volume 2 is going to kind of start midway through Volume 1, maybe even end a little bit after Volume 1, I don't know. But as I said, this book, its biggest drawback is that lack of fleshing out the world and really giving you characters that you can care about. We don't spend enough time with many of the characters, even the Minotaur in a sense, that we become really invested in their journeys. Most of them don't really have journeys. Their journey is to get by the Minotaur. But yeah, although there are some kind of cool aspects of it, I did like that the Minotaur, we do see growth in the Minotaur, not just in his strength and his abilities, but even in his thought process, which I thought was cool. I was glad that the author did that. He even sort of develops a sort of a code of honor, if you will. So again, you can tell that the focus on this book was really about the Minotaur, because that is the stuff that gets the most development, that has the most bulk of the story. It feels like a lot of the outside world stuff was thrown in because it was kind of necessary and because it helped kind of extend the story. However, there were some good ideas there that I think if they were given more attention and fleshed out more, could have made this a much more satisfying experience. Even when the book ends, I mean, it could be a one and done. But as I said, I don't think you're going to get the real complete picture unless you read the other books in the series. As far as I know, there's only the 3 books. So I think it's just 3 volumes, and then the series is over, which is probably, again, a good thing, because I can't really see with where this book goes that this is the kind of shtick that's going to last for 10 or 20 volumes. So overall, King of the Labyrinth. Well, I mean, I don't know whether I would spend hardcover money for it, but definitely, you know what? If you can get it for a good price or you can read it digital, it's a good little page burner for an afternoon. I mean, for a couple, well, depending on how fast you read, but I mean, you know, I think it took me about 3.5 hours to read it. And as I said, I did enjoy it. You know, if you're not into gore, you might not be a big fan. I wouldn't say that it's gratuitous, but again, it's people fighting a Minotaur. You kind of got to know what you're getting into, and the book delivers on that for certain. However, if you're looking for something that's like a high fantasy with all sorts of amazing world building and characters that you can really just love and become attached to, there you're going to be let down. If you're looking for a little page turner with lots of gruesome battles and just enough character interaction for you to give something to be like, oh yeah, okay, I know who that guy is. Oh, he died horribly. If you're into that, this one's a definite winner. In this video, I want to say a special thanks to Michaela Werner, RP Geist, Jean-Luc Chartier, Mirage, Kyle Block, Ine Erlkana, and New Valaric. for their support on Patreon, as well as the support of all of my patrons who help to keep the channel running, as well as helping me keep up my projects like Light Novel Podcast, as well as EnglishLightNovels.com. So, after a fantasy novel with all sorts of bloody pulping, I kind of felt like, you know what, how about something that's a little more chill, a little bit more slice of life? And that's going to be the isekai tale, The Saint's Magic Power is Omnipotent. That'll be my next review. This one's also got an anime coming out, so yeah, I thought it was a good time to check it out. In any case, that'll be my next review. In the meantime, thank you for joining me for this one. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. But until then, bye-bye for now.